What's up everybody, hope all is well. Initially this video was about how I felt competitive role queue was the only playable mode left, but in thinking about it, something else dawned on me. Overwatch 2 is a minimally viable product. I think that explains a lot, I think that suggests a lot. The story of how I came to that conclusion and what it means for the game is the genesis of this video. So for the first 2-3 weeks, I played everything but comp while waiting for Kiriko, and I didn't honestly have much fun, but I knew if anything could save me, it would be the better matchmaking on ladder. So finally, I queued up and surprise, I had a freaking awesome time. So cool, but also, wow, it really shined a light on just how bad the other modes are. So I started taking stock of just what the game is. Bottom line, it's comp and it's a store. In Blizzard's eyes, the only two things that really matter, the essentials to making the product minimally viable. Taking a pragmatic look, considerably more development effort is being put into taking money rather than providing fun. It's entirely fair to say most of the game is broken, and it's entirely fair to say most of what's new is monetization. Why it's like this is anybody's guess, but it sure seems to line up with the rumors that Activision essentially sabotaged development, forced PvP out early, and they cobbled it all together in less than a year. Again, it explains a lot and it suggests a lot. The textbook definition of a minimally viable product is one that costs minimal resources to develop, has just enough features to be usable, and is released primarily to generate revenue and obtain customer feedback, which both funds and guides future development. Its roots lie in information technology, specifically product development and the agile development methodology, and it does, in theory, have merit when used ethically and with good intention. But the flip side, and why the concept gets a bad rap, is that companies often use it as a crutch, as an excuse to do the minimal amount of work necessary with no intent of ever fulfilling their half of the obligation. In the games industry specifically, the minimally viable concept is somewhat synonymous with free-to-play live services. So let me explain why Overwatch 2 is a minimally viable product, because you may not see it. First, it's developed using minimal resources. While we know they grew the team considerably, I think it's fair to say that currently 99% of Overwatch 2 is just Overwatch 1. You know, what's new? A few heroes we know were made years ago, a few maps, and the monetization. I'm sure the new hires are working on something, but I don't see evidence of anything in-game yet. There's the PvE, rumors of major new PvP game modes coming, and the ever-expanding supply of free-to-play items, so cool, but doesn't change the fact the game that was launched wasn't really new. Second, it has just enough features to be usable. At first glance, it appears to be a fully functional game, and to a degree it is, but as with my original intent of this video, I can make an argument pretty much every mode except competitive role queue is broken. Between the free-to-play matchmaking, the format changes, the tank buffs, and the apparent lack of effort in resolving said changes, everything open queue and arcade is just straight bad. We've got multiple tanks in open queue, tanks dominating deathmatch, unkillable tanks and no limits. It's a mess. Granted, this likely isn't apparent and may not even matter to new players, but the subpar match quality is obvious to anyone with significant experience. As they stand, those modes serve only as a reminder of what we've lost. So when you step back and look, yeah, Overwatch 2 is basically comp and the store, just enough features to be usable. Third, it's released primarily to generate revenue and gather customer feedback. We know Blizz needed money to fund the live service and PvE, so that lines up, but Overwatch 2 is arguably the worst deal in gaming. I hate to say that, but it's the truth and you know it in your heart of hearts. They took the live service model and turned it up to 11. If you're paying cash for items, it's roughly double the rest of the industry, 26 bucks for a skin. I mean, come on, if you're paying with your time for items, it's so bad as to essentially be incomparable to anything else in the industry. I mean, 8 months for a single skin, really? It's so out of touch they may as well make it 8 years because it achieves the same goal, essentially forcing people who want items to pay cash. I don't know, I feel like if you asked a veteran Overwatch player what's new about Overwatch 2, the first thing that comes to mind is the free-to-play monetization. As for customer feedback, whether or not you think Blizz cares about customers is up to you. I personally don't, which makes it being a minimally viable product all the more likely and damning. So what do you think? Does all that seem fair? If you're looking for more, consider the missing guilds. There have been rumors about them for years. So long I thought for sure the critical social element would come with Overwatch 2. What about all the technical issues? I can somewhat look past the server instability, but there's no excuse for several heroes being pulled from the game entirely, or broken hero selection screens, or challenges not working in every mode. You know, I mean, should I go on? And if you're looking for the granddaddy reason of them all as to why Overwatch 2 is a minimally viable product, look no further than the missing PvE. It was the selling point of Overwatch 2, but that's MIA, replaced instead by an in-game cash shop is the big new fancy feature. Oh, geez, it's sad. Bottom line, at face value, Overwatch 2 in its current state appears to be just Overwatch 1 with monetization, and all the things that were supposed to make it Overwatch 2 are coming, you know, at some point in the future. Looks like a minimally viable product to me. So what's all this mean for the player? That's a loaded answer because it's predicated on whether or not you think Overwatch 2 being a minimally viable product is by choice or by force. If it's by choice, as many AAA developers do, then the future could be pretty bleak. If, however, you think it's by force and that Activision screwed it all up, then the future actually can look bright. Honest, let me explain. There's 3 conditions that can doom these minimally viable products to failure. First, if there's a strong, pre-existing customer base who are expecting the same but better. 2, if there's established feature-complete competition, and 3, if there's any doubt demand for your offering will miss. Overwatch 2 seems to meet all 3 of those, and while that would seem to be cause for concern, if you think beyond that, to me it suggests that Overwatch 2 is not this way by choice. A company this big and profit-oriented, most importantly, would probably understand the business side of that equation. So I'm inclined to somewhat believe the rumors that Overwatch 2 was forced out quickly and in an incomplete state in pursuit of profit. And that suggests it probably won't be like this forever. The best news is that in all likelihood, Blizz won't be working for Activision much longer, and while Microsoft has a long way to go to prove their mettle, I have faith Blizz products will be better under them. Don't get me wrong, the insane monetization isn't going anywhere, rather I mean they'll eventually get around to updating the rest of the game. And we need to hope this is the case. The darker side of the concept doesn't bode well for consumers. Companies rely on early adopters and faithful customers being more flexible and accepting of essentially being guinea pigs or piggy banks. They bear the brunt of it through bugs and gameplay shortcomings and excessive friction. Meanwhile, the company's making record profit off whales, knowing they never intend to provide anything beyond the bare minimum. So, final thoughts. Am I alone in feeling this way? I don't know. Buyer News, who I'm a huge fan of, put it best. Overwatch 2 is a great game, but a terrible product. That stuck with me, and once I realized one reason it's a bad product is because it's an incomplete product, everything clicked. Prior to playing comp again and thinking it through, the way I'd explain it is to say it felt like the magic was gone. I just wasn't having fun and quick play in arcade like I used to. Truth be told, for a hot minute, I'd actually lost interest entirely. Evidence, as I stated earlier, that minimally viable products can cause a lot of friction for users. All that being said, I'm trying my best to be hopeful for the future. Once they're under Microsoft proper, I'm willing to wipe the slate clean and see what Blizz delivers. In the meantime, all we can do is hope they use the newfound revenue to fix issues and deliver a super high quality PvE experience. Because while comp and the store is the core of the game, it's important everyone have a good experience regardless of what they're doing. So Blizz, you gotta fix the quick play matchmaker. You boast tens of millions of people are playing. Why am I, as a 6+ year veteran, suffering through matches with legitimately new players? I had a tank yesterday with 18 deaths in 8 minutes. No joke. It was brutal for me, and I can't imagine fun for the tank. So hang in there, everyone. I know the game's in rough shape, and I know a lot of people don't like comp, but at least right now, if you're looking for a match with relatively equally competent teammates, it's your best bet. And while the store may be front and center, I have a feeling 2023 will have some cool new stuff. PvE, some new PvP modes, even hearing rumors of some sort of battle royale, oh, and a mobile version. I'm just kidding. I bet we do get one, but none of us care. And with that, I'm done. I appreciate you taking the time. Take care of one another, and I will see you soon.
Like mending a shadow.
Very impressive. Our enemy did not heal them.